be prepared. Think through some examples where you faced challenges and how did you approach them and how did you come up with a solution? And come up with a nice, succinct way to articulate your story and your journey and what makes you unique.
One of the things that I see into the future, and certainly what I'm looking for, is an adaptability and an agility in the people around me in technology. I'm looking for someone who has a keen edge for learning, who is really looking to challenge themselves.
If you're applying to all these grad jobs, like do your research on the companies first and make sure that you actually want to work for that company and the values that they have, they align with you as well. Look at yourself as an asset as well. These companies, they want you. They want new up and coming people that have just graduated from university. You come with new ideas and a new approach and a new way of thinking.
I would also say things like spending time talking about actual workplace examples that you have. If you've had any internships or any other work experience, that really also stands out. Being overseas, showing that you are comfortable with being resilient to change and handling different environments is another really good example.
When you're looking for your first job right out of college and you might not have experience to add to your resume, it's really good to have other topics that tell a hiring manager who you are. So volunteering is a great one. Sports teams are a great ones. Things that might help you connect with a hiring manager and open up conversation if you don't have experience in the industry already to share with them. It'll always be things that help you plug in examples for how you could work in a team or how your passion for healthcare, for example, plays out outside of work or outside of school, but in your personal life.
So I think there are so many things that you could be doing just outside of your academic studies to make yourself as a standout candidate when applying for new jobs. For example, something that I did, this was also while at university, was get involved with the clubs. Like I know there are so many clubs that you can be involved with at uni. I joined one not only just to improve, my volunteering on my resume, but also to make friends and to have fun and enjoy your time at uni as well. And then you can also do internships or volunteering elsewhere. Any work experience really, even if it is outside of, STEM or the pathway that you want to go down.
I think outside of formal study, anything that can give you more insights into the world at large. So to give you a bit more experience and more insights to draw on. So whether that's like exposing yourself to more people, different groups of people, maybe it's through volunteering opportunities or internships or being really curious about the way things work and asking a lot of questions, because I think especially for coming into a role new as a graduate or even throughout that interview process, the more insight and experience that you can bring to what you're delivering for an interview or for a role, I think it makes you a more well-rounded candidate and potentially more successful.
So, as a STEM graduate, you've set yourself up exceptionally well for longevity in career. But if I focus in on the technology component, which is clearly near and dear to my career, there is an absolute shortage of technologists at this point in time. And it's even down to the software component of it, which one would argue could be in the engineering side. There's a shortage of data analysts, which one could argue is in the mathematics side. There's a shortage of end-to-end sociologists, which one could argue is in the science side. So when you start to think about technology as a career, there is an absolute shortage of educated technologists in the market at the moment, which means you can step into and have choices that many other careers probably don't have at the moment. And when we see some careers dropping off and becoming redundant or evolving or changing, technology is exponentially increasing. And so the throughput and the input is going to be huge. So if you've chosen a career in tech, yay you. And if you've chosen a career in STEM, yay you.
In the medical device sector, at least at J&J, it's easy to see how much we are drifting into the tech space more and more. So it's not just instruments and sutures and things that get put into your body, but how do surgeons work with those instruments? How do they navigate better and smarter? So pairing technology with your typical operating theater is becoming more and more important. And sorting out or figuring out the international regulations behind that, it's very hard to put controls around technology compared to something that you can physically hold in your hand.
I believe that the current area that I'm in regulatory affairs is exploding, and there is a much greater need for people to come into this field. We really struggle recruiting in this area. Devices are becoming a lot more complex. The regulations are evolving accordingly. So we need more people to help organizations to be able to navigate that regulatory framework and to be able to ensure that patients can continue to get access to these innovative devices.
When I think about the future, at this particular point in time, I see data and data science.
Data and analytics, definitely. There is so much push into data, and now with all the new technologies that we have coming in, there are so many touch points of where we can measure our data, but it's not until we know what to do with that data, how to understand it, look why, and then be able to come up with results from that data and be able to implement that into new processes. So I think from my perspective, if you are able to understand results and be able to drive process improvement from those results, there's a lot of opportunity there.
Our sector is always going to need engineers. We're always going to need engineers, and I'm constantly asking for more resource, for more engineers. That work might be documentation. So we definitely need people who have good communication skills, who can develop documents that are legible and reliable. We also need people who are testers, people who are developing new concepts, being creative, working with complicated systems and CAD systems that not comes intuitively to everyone. So if there's a specific area that you find comfort and confidence in, then that's a really great place to start.
So one of the key things that I look for is not necessarily about the degree that they've done. Clearly, if it's in technology and they're applying for a job, the credentials speak for themselves. What I'm actually looking for is the passion for what they want to achieve in life. Because if I can connect passion and purpose and their career motivation, then we're going to have a wonderful relationship both inside of J&J and out.
Things that I look for when I'm hiring into my team are usually a sense of balance, as a sense of work ethic. Certainly, when I'm interviewing, I'm looking for confidence, I'm looking for examples. And really importantly, I'm looking for people to be very self aware of what their strengths are, definitely what their weaknesses are, and how they overcome them on a daily basis, whether it be personal or at work. Knowing yourself and how you might work with a team is really important to me.
We have a lot of selection criteria. Some of those are highly technical skills, so we do look for very specific areas, but we also look for general ability to communicate with other people, to be part of a team, and also particularly within J&J, there's a lot of culture around what we call a credo, and that's developing a social responsibility, being responsible for the products and the services that we provide. And that can come in a variety of ways in the candidates that I see, whether they do volunteering work or they really just seem to want to contribute to social good. And that's really something that stands out for candidates.
When I'm recruiting graduates, I already know that you're smart. I already know that you've proven yourself technically. If you've made it to the interview, you're okay. What I look for in the individual is the ability to be able to network, the ability to be able to use the resources you have to investigate the problem, to be able to come up with creative solutions. So it's really those critical thinking skills that I focus on. So I like to ask questions around challenges that people have faced, and I look to see how they've approached that particular challenge.